and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that, I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pitch it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. The Martin Houston Show can also be found on the Martin Houston Radio Network. Or check out Martin Houston fan page at Martin Houston Live on Facebook. You can also find us on YouTube at Martin Houston Live, at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling. We want to invite you into the conversation on the Alabama One hotline. That's 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline, open for business, 205-342-9904. Want to welcome you into the program. You can always get in on the conversation via chat. I want to get right into the conversation, and before we do that, I want to remind you that this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone. You be the difference. You be the difference you want to see in the world today. I want to thank the crew for covering for me yesterday, and those of you who were able to tune in via the various outlets. We want to appreciate you being a part of the conversation as well, but glad to be back in the saddle today. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Well, hey, Joe behind the glass. Joe, I did not get to ask you, did you survive the 5-day, the 5-hour marathon on Monday? Any casualties happened on Monday?
Oh no, we had a good time on Monday. Parker came out for a little while. Xavier came out for a little while. We had a good time on Monday.
Because when you really think about it, I after I talked to you about that, I was like, that's like my whole week. So that's a whole week for you too, as well. I guess when you really think about it.
Sure.
Yeah, but what tends to happen is. You and I tell people, you and I always have to decide: are we going to go deep on a topic, or are we going to go wide to cover more topics? That's my balancing act. Most of the time, the topics I have, I could probably spend an hour on each one. But you want to give some variety to your show, so you don't get to go as deep. And then once football season get here, you don't get to always do your fallback Friday, flashback Friday, fire sale Friday, whatever. So it's always a juggling act, but I love it, and I wouldn't change it at this point. But love to get everyone in the show and get as many things going. And so that's kind of today. We're going to be more spread out than we are deep today. We want to talk about score predictions ultimately for Alabama. And, hey, we may even take a jaunt around the SEC and look at what's happening around the SEC and other games of interest potentially. And did this past weekend mean anything from an SEC standpoint with everybody winning but LSU? We're going to look at players of the game. And as I was listening to you guys yesterday, a question popped up in my head because it's been interesting to listen to some of the conversations this week, guys, as people have talked about. They've talked about if defense do what they're supposed to do, then we're going to be okay. And so my question is, which one do you trust more after the first week? Do you trust the offense more? Do you trust the defense more this week going into Texas? So do you expect Alabama to get their point total offensively more than you expect Bama's defense to hold the Longhorns? So that's one. Key matchups is another potential topic that we can get to this morning. Which ones that we need to make sure that we're ready? O line versus D line, running backs versus linebackers, wide receivers versus DBs, both sides, and then last but definitely not least, Texas wins if. What does Texas have to do to win? So all of that can be part of the conversation. If listening on the radio airways, you can call us at 205-342-9904, the Alabama hotline. Give us your thoughts on any of those topics, or you can post it in chat as well, and we'll bring that into the conversation. So, X, I'm going to let you pick which one of those you want to start with, and then, like I said, we're gonna go a little depth, but try to cover a lot of topics this morning.
Yeah, I think we should start off with the matchups.
Okay, well, all right. I asked you which topic. Let's go.
Yeah, when you look at the matchup, I think you can look at Bijan Robinson against Alabama's linebackers, as well as Jahmyr Gibbs versus Texas linebacker. I think those two guys will be a big factor in the game. If Texas is able to keep it close or win it, Bijan Robinson is going to have to big game, and Jahmyr is going to have a big game for Alabama to be able to pull away.
All right. When you look at the matchups, let's break down and go into the matchup a little bit. First of all, Bijan Robinson, one of the best backs in the country. Okay. And I think I heard you guys say this yesterday, Joe, that he will most likely be the first guy off the board as far as, the running back position. And so it's going to be interesting to watch. This may be the best back Bama plays all year. Only other back that may be better than him they practice against every day. So the question then becomes taking what – let me see this. Taking what Sark said, guys. Remember Sark said earlier in the week, I know them. I know their tendencies. I know Golding. I know his tendencies. I know what gives him problems. And we're going to put that in this week. Earlier in the week, I made the statement that, he can't go out and change what he does. You can't all of a sudden compete from your weaknesses. But what about Texas makes this matchup a huge favor potentially for the Texas Longhorns, Joe? Because would you say, Joe, potentially that Bijan Robinson actually using him in the passing game is one of those things that has given Pete Golding's defenses trouble, meaning linebackers trying to cover a running back out of the backfield?
Yeah, I think I think that's definitely one of the things that's given Alabama trouble over the last 2 years. Not as much last year, I don't think, but definitely in 2020. And the other thing is, they've got a tight end, Xavier Whitlow, who is pretty athletic and had a good first game. I think he's going to give. I think he's going to be a big challenge to cover as well. So the two of them together, I think, will be big challenges for Pete Golding to scheme up against.
And now to your point, Joe, when you look at what you just said, Does that make this game all of a sudden, when you look at it overall, I don't even think that the overall talent level is in the same park right now. I don't think it's in the same park, Alabama and Texas. I think Alabama is far more talented than Texas. However, he has, and who knows if he didn't do this on purpose, he has 3 things right now that potentially gives us trouble. Good quarterback. We don't know how good Erie is, but potential. Big tight end that can get open in space. Ole Miss. Anybody remember that? Running back out of the backfield. We can pick several teams that has caused us trouble from, X. Do those 2 things give you more concern that Texas has a chance with those things to take advantage of Moody and Toa, and potentially even our aggressiveness without our outside pass rush with that?
Well, something Nick Saban said last night during the coaches show is last time we went to Texas as a 20-point favorite, we got beat. And why? Texas A&M's tight end, Texas A&M's running back being able to catch the ball out of the backfield and get running yards when they need it. And they had a quarterback that played smart and efficient football. And that's 3 things Texas can do.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. And what I want, and I know we got a couple calls, so I don't have to short them. We're going to go ahead and go to break here. The other thing I would add to that, guys, I want you to think about is how, if we know this, right? If the 3 of us sitting here on a Friday know this, then we know Nick Saban them know this. How do you stop that? How do you mitigate the impact of the tight end, the running back in the passing game, and a quarterback? Remember, that Texas A&M quarterback went to Auburn, guys, and cannot win. He's not even second on the depth chart, that Texas A&M quarterback. Finley and Asher, kid that transferred from Oregon, both beat him out. But yet he played smart enough to beat Alabama. Can Texas take all of that, combine it with that early start? We'll talk about how Alabama can stop it, and we'll get into more conversation. We'll also bring our callers into the conversation. If you want to get in on it, you can join us on the Alabama One hotline, 205-342-9904, or you can add your thoughts on chats. We'll be back for more of that game day eve conversation right here on the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, a good Friday morning to you. No active wrecks, traffic moving well. In fact, it's pretty light right now. But if you see conditions throughout the day that folks need to hear about, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Get a deal of the lifetime now at Townsend Nissan, the home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. I'm Captain Ray.
Tuscaloosa Locksmith sells key remotes, remote fobs, smart keys, car remotes, and Black Rifle coffee. They also do laser engraving. Tuscaloosa Locksmith, just off 15th Street behind the fire station.
Dell Technologies' semi-annual sale has arrived, and it's time to upgrade to the latest business technology. Save big on laptops and desktops with Windows 11 Pro. Plus, get amazing deals on server, storage, and cloud solutions, as well as top work accessories, including docks, monitors, and more. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL for special business offers during our semi-annual sale.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're speaking another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
3 weeks. It's incredible. After 3 weeks, I'm on vacation in Paris, having a conversation in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel, évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Cloudy with periods of rain today and tonight. Maybe a thunderstorm as well. The high today 79, tonight's low 68. For tomorrow, mostly cloudy, scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms are likely during the day. The high at 81. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 74 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Softmark Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at softmarkdesign.com.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
All right, man. I know time's gonna run out. We're not gonna get to all of it, but hey, we're gonna make it good while we have it. And that is, we're talking Alabama football. We started talking about the key matchups with Alabama, and we talked about the running backs. And we say, hey, actually, it's a key matchup on both sides. Alabama has one of the same advantages, but we know Sarkisian said that he knows some things that can cause Alabama problems. Well, Xavier and Joe both identified the running back and the tight end, and I threw in the potential of a smart young quarterback who doesn't make a lot of mistakes. All of a sudden, that is a three-ingredient recipe that has given Alabama problems and fits and allowed a less inferior team to be able to beat Alabama or at least put Alabama in a dogfight. Ole Miss did it with Kiffin, play calling. So I guess you add the other ingredient to that is a creative play caller who knows the system. Well, so it may be a 4-ingredient piece. So we're going to get back into that conversation, but we do have callers that we've invited to get in on the conversation. And so let's get to the phone lines. Pat, you're in with the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, Martin. I had to just now. I had to borrow my son's telephone and call Amazon and do away. I had to stop. I had T-shirts ordered for the three of you with Decon on it for Monday. But I had to stop the order, Martin. Rat poison.
I don't think we're giving out rat poison today, are we?
Exactly my point. Stop the order, Hey, but you guys this morning, y'all are hitting on quite a few things. The only problem is that young quarterback hadn't been on the big stage yet. He hadn't been. Hey, the lights hadn't been turned on. Yep. It's going to be hot. It's going to be muggy. That big defense is going to wear on them boys. Hey,
and Pat, let me ask you a question, Pat. Is he though? Is Ewer the Bryce Young is he the Bryce Young of his class though?
Hey, he could be the Bryce Young of his class. Hey, and it's not going to matter.
Hey, we're not. Hey, this is not your mama's defense of the past, Martin Houston. As you well know, you're the minister of defense, and we've been talking about this defense all year long. And hey, I'm a believer. I got my crimson colored glasses on. I'm a believer. Yeah, things can happen, but hey, I really truly believe that before this season's over with, we're going to think that had been transported back into time to 1992 when Curry and Copeland were on the ends for your team.
Hey, Pat, I got a question for you.
Go ahead, Ed.
Would you not say that Bijan Robinson is better than any of Texas A&M's running backs last year?
No, I don't know that to be true yet. But until we get on the field with them, y'all realize it's only about 28 hours away.
Yeah. Hey, Pat, you the one, you talking about us. You need to go ahead and place that order in what size you wear it. 2X, XL, 3X.
At least a 2X.
You better go ahead and put that order back in with Amazon and get one for yourself.
But it gives me a swimming effect.
Okay.
But my point is, Pat, Bijan Robinson is the best running back in the country.
You think you truly believe that?
Yes.
He was the best running back
coming into this year.
Supposedly, we got the two best running backs in the country. We're gonna see.
He's the best running back in the country. Would you not say Quinn Ewers is at least as good as Zach Calzada?
I don't know. I have no idea yet. Till we see him, he has not been in the light.
The poison tastes good.
He never played it down. He never played it down at Ohio State.
He was the number one quarterback in his class. That's why he was compared to Bryce Young.
And look, there's been plenty of number one quarterbacks in their class that hadn't panned out.
Pat, we got another call away, but Pat, listen, he was the number one guy, and he was good enough that he left high school a year early. He was supposed to be a senior that year. He wasn't playing at Ohio State, so I'm not going to hold it against him, but I'm also not going to give him. I'm also not going to give him the Heisman Trophy either. And so, but he has potential, Pat. But we got to get to that next caller.
How you gonna stop them? I tell you how we're gonna stop them tight ends. We're gonna jam them up at the line of scrimmage.
And you know what, Pat? Who you gonna use to jam them? And if you use Will Anderson, Dallas Turner to jam the tight end, I got what I want. All right, Pat. Have a good one, man.
Houston.
All right. Coming up next, we have Curtis Lewis. You're in with the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9. It's the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Pat makes my head hurt. But but you hit it dead on the head, Martin. As far as the running backs and the tight end, yes, that's true. But every one of those teams had dynamic play callers, whether it was Jimbo, whether it's Kiffin. Sarkisian is cut from that same cloth, is not a step above. So I do have that worry that if they're going to beat us, that's going to be the way they're going to beat us. And the fact that our linebackers, Toa actually, to be exact, is not a good coverage linebacker. He cannot run with anybody. And then if you're going to take Anderson over there and make him have to think as far as whether he got to cover that back or whether he's going to be able to do what he normally does and getting into the quarterback space out there, that's a second that might be taken off. That's going to give that kid a chance to complete that pass. So Sarkisian's going to have a game plan. There's no doubt about that. And the only thing that scares me about that is the same brain trust that we had trying to defend against Sarkisian, and well, not Sarkisian, but against Kiffin and Jimbo. And I don't think he was there when what's the little guy at Ole Miss before Kiffin?
Ole Miss. I mean, Hugh Freeze.
Hugh Freeze, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
No, he
I
wasn't.
don't know. He wasn't there, was he?
Correct.
Our defense, okay. So that's what worries me. So I'm thinking that Saban knows this, and of course I think Saban knew it well before the last two games anyway. But I think he's going to go out and get some help, and then I think maybe I don't know if Grantham is good at coverages. I do know that Grantham is great at pressure, but I don't know how well he is at coverages because he's always getting burnt by somebody with his schemes. That's a worry.
Go ahead, Xavier.
You trust Brian Branch or Malachi Moore to cover Bijan Robinson out of the backfield?
I trust them more than I trust my linebackers doing it. I'd much rather have Brian Branch on Bijan instead of Anderson. Much rather have him. I'd rather play nickel the whole game, if not dime. Then
I was going to say, I think you may see some dime. And the reason I say dime, and here's the question, because to our point, now they're gonna have to execute for this to work. But I think you have a distinct advantage when you put Texas has a distinct advantage when you put Toa on the tight end and Moody on Robinson, or vice versa. If that's the matchup, I'm going to give Texas wins more than losses. Either one, if those two guys are the ones that's responsible for those two guys throughout the game. So here's the question. Do we see more zone than we normally see? Which does what? It eliminates the matchup. That's one possibility. The other possibility you just hit was a dime. And don't be surprised because I don't think you can go to a nickel I think you may see a nickel. I said a dime. You may see a nickel defense versus a dime defense. The problem with the dime defense is you may end up with just one linebacker in there, and then Bijan and what's his name takes advantage with the run. So I think you have to have at least two linebackers in there. The question is, will it be the two linebackers that played the most, or will they have some other variation of that? Will there be some other athlete in there? Will there be another athlete in there at that running back, and then that fifth DB covering one of those two, and the other linebacker? I'm telling you, with the no bigger than the size of the guys, I wouldn't be surprised to see even a Hellam potentially drop down and play some linebacker. I think he physically, could take kind of the way the game is played today, occasionally to help with either the tight end or the running back out of the backfield. If we run man, if I'm playing against this team, I'm probably going to do some zone so that Will Anderson can go get after the passer and disrupt that young passer, Curtis, and then have one of those DBs covering his zone area out in the flat. I give you closing thoughts before I let you go, if you got anything else.
Yeah, I would go more to man and let them guys, them two freshman linemen of theirs, deal with Anderson and Dallas Turner, and hopefully they get in that guy's face and make that quarterback make business decisions back there with that ball. If he goes to his first read, we know the first read is going to be either the tight end or the running back. It's not going to be a wide out. So I would definitely make that quarterback make his decisions and not give him a chance to sit there and pick apart zones on us. Because you got open ends in the zone every time.
The only reason I said a zone was to move Will and get Will there. If I didn't get pressure with Will, I might go to a zone where I could blitz more and mix it up. But I would trust Will to get there initially. And if that wasn't happening, I would flip back to what you're talking about. Well, hold on. Let me say this. If I'm going with the two guys that started the game, if I have Toa and Moody, I'm going more zone. If I have another linebacker that I can put in there that I feel is athletic enough to cover one of those guys, then I'm going man and probably doing some blitzing. So,
well, I think that would be Lawson in place of Toa.
Yeah,
if we were going to do that, because
Yeah,
he's a better cover guy. Lawson's weakness is on the rush. He's not good at pressuring the quarterback yet, but he's a great cover as a linebacker. So we'll see how they mix it up for us.
I will be watching it, and I'll make sure I have my Twitter up so we can have those conversations in the game. I missed you last week.
Yeah.
All right, man. Have a good one, Curry.
Have a good one. Enjoy your weekend.
All right. You too. All right. Hey, let's get the break here. We got Robert from Mobile. Robert will get you on the other side. Hey, look, I love the conversation. You're welcome to get in on it, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. More conversation up next.
This is a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update.
I'm Kim Rankin with your Tide Sports Update. Due to a possibility of inclement weather on Friday, multiple high school football games across West Alabama have been pushed up to Thursday night. Former Alabama quarterback Mac Jones has been named as a New England Patriots captain for the 2022-23 season. Alabama football head coach Nick Saban spoke highly of the wide receivers that played in the 55-0 victory against Utah State on Saturday night.
This has been a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update. Run it again! For more info on these stories and more, download the Tide 100.9 app.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama One, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Straight Talk Wireless knows there are plenty of reasons you might need a new phone. But switching to a better wireless provider doesn't have to be one of them. Keep your own phone and save when you switch to any Straight Talk Wireless plan, like our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with unlimited high-speed data and 5 gigs of hotspot, plus nationwide 5G on America's best networks. Keep your own phone. Switch to a better wireless plan. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Requires a compatible unlocked phone and QIOP kit. 5G T-Mobile device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See latest terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our Pep Talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We want to remind you about Alabama One. Hey, they help us pay the bills here. And if you want to help us pay the bills, you want to be a part of the Martin Houston Show, you can always be added to our winning roster by joining our lineup of great sponsors. All you need to do is send an email to martin@martinhouston.org, and we'll follow up, get you some rates, get you signed up, and get you going. We can do that literally overnight and have you as an active part of the roster of winning sponsors right here on the Martin Houston Show. In Alabama One leads us out each and every day. And speaking of that, it's time for the Alabama One hotline, and that is Mr. Robert from Mobile waiting. Robert, you're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Guys, yeah, you guys bring some good points up on your comparing and contrasting Texas A&M with Texas as far as, are they better than Texas A&M when they beat Alabama? And essence, your points are well taken, which of course is why Nick Saban never takes anything for granted. And you may use that as a reason to get some little frustrations against Texas after what happened with Texas A&M. And what happened with the tight end, Billingsley. So that may be a little extra motivation for the team. Of course, the team was a lot better offensive line and defensively than they were last year. So that's an advantage for Alabama. I think Texas has one, biggest chance to win this game is it's the first half. If they keep it close, meaning they keep Alabama under 20 points, and they get any score, even if it's a field goal. If it's 17-3 at halftime, okay, that means the crowd is affecting the offensive line and affecting the offensive play at that particular time. So any score they get and keeping Alabama under 20 points by halftime, then they have a chance. Because we absolutely well know once the offense gets off, goes off. Then off the races are done. They can have the game over in a quarter. Right. If the offense is clicking. So that's what I'm sure that'll be their game plan going in. Like you said, Sarkisian will try to maybe do the Lane Kiffin route in Alabama with a bunch of surprises and whatnot. Maybe going no huddle, maybe whatever, going for it on fourth down like Lane Kiffin was doing all those times. Who knows? Of course, I think it'll bite him in the butt against Mr. Anderson defense this time.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you a question. Would you go hurry up or would you slow it down?
Oh, boy. Hurry up is slowing it down plays in Alabama's hands. So I guess you got to go hurry up. I know you want to try to keep the ball away from Bryce. But the most effective I've seen legit Alabama's when they hurry up or defense. And they execute. You got to execute because if you go 3 and out, and you're hurrying up, that's more possessions for Bryce. So that's where the defense has to get themselves off the field. I know they're talking about the weather in Texas, and I heard on Brian's show yesterday that the humidity is going to actually be lower than it is in Tuscaloosa. I went to the first game last Saturday, and the humidity was terrible in Bryant Denny. I mean, it was sizzling.
Yes, it was.
So the humidity is lower. It kind of doesn't, the air temperature doesn't what gets you sometimes. It's that humidity that dries you out.
Yeah, and here's your question. Circling back to your hurry up versus, you have to execute regardless of what everyone knows you do. If you go slow and you don't execute, then you lessen your opportunities to come back. Right. You go fast, your defense is worn out, and the game gets away from you. So they have to execute. But what used to work on hurry up against Alabama was that they didn't have the depth and you could wear them out, and they didn't get set as fast. I think some of that's been corrected in the way they communicate and having a more mature linebacker calling the plays. So I think that'd have been interesting to see what his approach is to the game. But I'll let you go, Robert. Anything else before I let you go?
Yeah, real quick. I'm thinking this is going to be. I think Nick Saban and Pete Golding wants this to make this a statement in the game. I think, especially after what Georgia did last weekend against Oregon, I think they want to make their own statement. So I'm looking for them to really lay down the hammer myself. I'm looking at 20-point spread. I'm looking for them to cover it.
Yeah, and I think that Nick Saban has lost his last two against his former coaches. Is that correct? He had never lost, and he lost his last two against his former coaches. Am I correct? A&M and Kirby. Well, two of his last three.
He was 1-2 last year. Yes.
Yeah, because he did beat Kirby. He beat Kirby in the Sugar Bowl. I mean, in the SEC championship game. But he lost his first two games to his former coaches last year, and I think that sits on his radar too. So it's going to be interesting.
Any motivation. All right, guys.
Motivation is good motivation. All right, guys. Hey, circling back, X and Joe, what would you guys do? We talked a lot about what he may do. What would you do to stop this? It's really probably is like a 4-ingredient thing from an offensive standpoint. I guess my question is that enough to beat this defense, or Texas wins if they can get the things we talked about offensively and something else maybe defensively? What are your thoughts, X? And then you, Joe.
Well, when you look at it, it's not just those things on offense. It's Alabama's defense turning the ball. I mean, offense turning the ball over. And that's been the other ingredient that puts the icing on the cake, because Alabama doesn't get blown out. They lose close games when the other team plays almost perfect football and they have multiple mistakes. It happens every time. You're talking last year with Texas A&M, it was missed field goals. It was a interception, getting the ball inside the 5 and not crossing the goal line. And then against Georgia, it was 2 interceptions and multiple drops. So
didn't we get a kick? Didn't we? Were we going down? Didn't Najah Hall drop a ball right at the goal line or inside the 5, and then we got the field goal blocked or something?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's where the game flipped. That's where it flipped.
And those are the things that have to happen. So it's almost a perfect game plan from the other team offensively, and then Alabama's offense making mistakes.
Joe, any comments before we get to Todd?
Oh, I think Xavier is exactly right. But I definitely think that the recipe could be there for Texas to win. But I think you have to have Alabama do their part as well, just like Xavier said.
Yeah, Alabama has to drop out. Alabama has to. You can have the perfect ingredients, and you have to execute. If Texas don't do what we talked about offensively, this game is going to be a blowout, regardless of how Alabama plays. Say Alabama makes a couple mistakes, but Texas doesn't execute offensively, they're going to still get blown out. If Texas executes offensively, I think they still need help. And so I'm just saying a different way what you guys have said. Let's bring in Todd. Todd, you're in with the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama on Hotline. What's on your mind, sir? Good morning.
Good morning. I just wanted to add the main ingredient to this football season is Coach Saban getting his players' mind right. Pastor Houston, what is it? Romans 12:1, just says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so, he gets his players' minds right. That's why he's so against the rat poison. You see that receiver for LSU and the quarterback jawing at each other whenever something didn't go right. They weren't able to go to the next play. As soon as I seen that happen, I said, they're going to lose this game. They're going to lose this game because the players are not playing together. They don't have the mind right. Saban does that better than anybody in the country. I don't believe Sark can do it with his team, young quarterback. Yeah, they are great athletes, and they are going to do great things in their future. But I don't think it's this Saturday.
Todd, reason if anybody's seeing me on video, they see me smiling or laughing. Next week, next Thursday, we have a weekly community-wide worship service. In my title, listen to this. My title is "Get Your Mind Right." Romans 12:1 and 2. So and that's my CEO. One of my CEO's favorite sayings. When we're getting ready to go into a move or a growth phase or anything, he'll tell us you got to get your mind right. So, yeah, you're absolutely right that a lot of times, man, all of these teams have a lot of talent, but what happens between those ears is a lot of times more important than that 40 time in that bench press or squat. So you're right. And I think that this team, Todd, in that sense, is special. I think because of Bryce Young and Will Anderson being the best two players on the team, two of the best people on the team from what I've heard from them, and two of the hardest workers on the team, that they have set a culture about being about business. Hey, let's have fun, but we're about business. And I think that that's what's going to make this year's team one of Nick Saban's most special teams. I'll give you closing thoughts before we let you go. All right, Todd.
I just wanted.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, roll tide and praise the Lord.
All right, roll tide, praise the Lord, man. Thanks for being part of the show, Todd. Call back anytime. Coming back on the other side, we'll do a rapid fire of these other questions that we have on the other side, right here on the Martin Houston Show. We want to thank Alabama One for their great sponsorship once again. And speaking of that great sponsorship, let me tell you about their great promotion going on right now. Hey, listen, if you're in the market for a car, you need to go ahead and make a move on that. We have low terms as low as 1.99 for interest rates and terms as long as 84 months on used, 96 months on a new. Conditions restrictions do apply. But hey, listen, if you get it, you get 60 days no pay. So leading up to Christmas, couple payments you can skip, and you can get up to $250 cash back if you're bringing that loan over. So go check them out online at alabama1.org or stop by one of our 18 branch locations. That's Alabama One together.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, a good Friday morning to you. No active wrecks, traffic moving well. In fact, it's pretty light right now. But if you see conditions throughout the day that folks need to hear about, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Get a deal of the lifetime now at Townsend Nissan, the home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. I'm Cap Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Friday morning. Based on the results of a study, the Northport City Council heard the first reading of an ordinance that would increase garbage, water, and sewer rates. If approved, an administrative fee of $1.50 for both water and sewer would be added. An additional $1.50 administrative fee would be implemented for water and sewer on January 1st, 2024. And base fees for garbage service would increase by $4.50 a month for residential, $10 a month for commercial. TuscaloosaThread.com for more. Don Hartley.
This is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, LLC.
Summer's over, but that joint pain is still there. It's time to do something. Hey, it's Gary Harris. I want you to call QC Kinetics right now. You've put it off long enough. It's time to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees and back and shoulders and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Regenerative medicine uses highly concentrated healing properties from your own body to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. And QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in this exciting breakthrough natural approach to eliminating joint pain. Do something, folks. Lots of people here have already done this, and they're living life to the fullest, pain-free. Don't assume the old ways of dealing with joint pain are the only ways. Call QC Kinetics today. Stop putting it off. Call now for a free consultation, 205-686-1941. QC Kinetics, 205-686-1941. That's 205-686-1941 with locations in Tuscaloosa and Burton. Birmingham. Call today, 205-686-1941.
Tuscaloosa Locksmith sells key remotes, remote fobs, smart keys, car remotes, and Black Rifle Coffee. They also do laser engraving. Tuscaloosa Locksmith, just off 15th Street behind the fire station.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
All right, let's get into a little rapid fire right here on the Martin Houston Show. First of all, offensively, who's your player of the game for Alabama?
I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs.
Jahmyr
I think
Gibbs.
he'll be a big factor, and I think he'll break 100, be used more in the passing game. I think his game this week is what we've been wanting to see from him.
Joe, you have a player of the game offensively?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Trayshawn Holden having a good second game as well.
Yes, sir.
Hey Joe, you know that there's other guys on the team, right?
I mean, you want me to go with Bryce Young?
No, I'm just messing with you.
That'd probably be my second choice.
I'm just messing with you. Hey, listen, you jumped on the Trayshawn Holden bandwagon, and I have tried everything I can to get you off of it. And after last week, I'm gonna have to ask you to give just. I ain't putting both cheeks on there yet, Joe, but I'm gonna need you to slide over a little bit because I'm about to get on that boat.
The only
bandwagon.
the only caution I have for you is I'm betting Trayshawn Holden's the one that throws the horns down and gets a penalty.
Well, Joe, if he's player of the game and he gets that, then we might be okay. If he's not player of the game and he do it, we might have an issue. But if he comes out and has a big game, Joe, I'm going to quickly ask you to go ahead and scoot over another cheek, okay? So I can get fully on the bandwagon. But hopefully he picks up where he left off. I'm excited that Latu's back. I think that's actually going to help Kobe Prentice. And so I'm gonna give it just a different option. I could agree with both of those guys. I'm gonna say Kobe Prentice has a big game as well. And of course, we can say Bryce Young, but if the guys we're naming have big games, he's gonna be hitting all three of them in the past. So that kind of goes to say he's gonna be one of the top guys. Defensively, who's gonna be the disruptor and the guy that comes away with the most impact on the game?
Well, I'm going with the easy answer, Will Anderson Jr. I think he's going to have a field day. They have a young offensive line, a young quarterback. I think he goes off. He talked about it earlier this week, playing against a younger quarterback, and I think he's going to have fun.
Joe?
Yeah, I think it's going to probably Brian Branch was my gut feeling because I think he's going to be all over the place. I do think Sarkisian's going to try to use the running back and tight end, and I think he's going to be pretty impactful in coverage.
Yeah, and both good choices there. The only caveat I would throw in there is Helms or Battle potentially as guys to throw in there as candidates because of if Branch is shutting down one of those two guys you mentioned, whichever one he gets up assigned with, and Will Anderson is disrupting that quarterback, the free safety or the strong safety based on how Alabama plays them in coverage, whichever guy ends up getting to roam back there and be the robber, which we saw some in Alabama's defense last year, and it's a great defense against young quarterbacks. One of those two guys has a big game as well if both of your predictions are correct. All right, player of the game that had. Which do you trust more right now? I know it's early in the season. Alabama's offense or Alabama's defense? X.
I'm gonna go with the defense that is a little bit more experience playing together. We think this could be the best ever up under Saban. So I'm going to go with the defense with a slight edge right now.
Yeah, I think Xavier's right. At least after one game, even though the offense put up 55 points, coach was right with the inconsistencies in the running game, but the defense was all over the place. So I mean, through 1 week, I'm going to go with the defense.
Yeah, and I think all three of us are going defense right now because even though we've ran up 55 points, there was some obvious things that you saw for coaching points. I think from the offensive side of the ball, we didn't get a lot of push on the offensive line. We didn't do well with twisting and stunning. And so those two things kind of impact the running game as well as allows for some pass rush that you're not anticipating. And if better players execute on those things, then you have even more issues offensively. So I would go defense as well. Texas wins if what?
If Sanders and Robinson have really great games, Ewers doesn't make any mistakes, and if Alabama turns the ball over more than once.
Okay. Joe?
Yeah, I think Xavier just hit it. They've got to win the turnover battle for sure.
Yeah, and I would say it probably takes 2 or more turnovers and maybe a miscue in special teams of some sort, and that perfect offensive game and maybe either steal a score from defense or steal a score with the special teams touchdown. And the question becomes: will Riker look like his leg got stronger over the summer? The Bijan return kicks last week. I didn't get to watch any of the tech. I saw some highlights. I think he did that for them last year, if I'm not mistaken. And that's one way to eliminate a weapon by using your weapon, Reichert. All right. Well, hey guys, what's your score prediction for tomorrow?
I'm going Bama 45, Texas 17.
No, I have no idea quite yet. I think it's gonna be closer than that. I think Texas will cover.
Okay, interesting thought there. I have not, and it's so funny. I really don't. I don't like giving predictions too soon. I'm like Joe. It's literally like last minute for me. But I do have Alabama's getting up into. I always like to throw in a couple field goals, and so I'm somewhere in the 48 range, somewhere between 42 and 48 for Alabama, and I think this defense is legit, and they show it tomorrow. I do think Texas is a good team, and to me, 14 to 17 is kind of the new shutout. So I'm gonna actually say Bama holds them to 13 points. So we'll talk about that, guys. Make sure you go to bed early tonight because this thing starts early in the morning. Bama versus Texas. We got Texas winning. Joe doesn't have them covering, and I'm sorry. Joe has Texas covering. But doesn't have an exact score. So, Joe, will you have it by the cup of Joe today at 11?
Yeah, probably about 11:53.
All right. So, guys, stay tuned right here on Tide 100.9. We'll be talking about Alabama's players of the game. We'll be talking about all of this and more on Monday. Make sure you stay tuned all day long to get all the great coverage right here on Tide 100.9 for Xavier Houston. And Joe Gaither. I'm Martin Houston. And remember this: trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths. Roll Tide out to everybody, and stop by Harvest Church on Sunday at 10 a.m.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Tide 100.9 traffic.